What is popping in your lives today? MRace89 here, bringing you a brand new video. And today we are reviewing the Lionel multi-car pack of 12 Darlington Throwbacks. I'm not alone today. I'm joined by the cameraman.
My name's Joe Donahue, and this is my camera, and this is my basement. And Matt Faust is here.
And we're also joined by the Diecast kid, Race Day 2011, aka Robbie Noonan.
Well, I'm joined by Skype, but I might as well be here, and this is a great looking set. You guys are doing pretty good so far.
So Matt, let's talk about where we got this pack from before anything else, because it's a pretty cool story we got for you.
Well, you shouldn't have moved the camera, because the guy who got it to us was right there. Robbie Noonan got us that for our Christmas thing that we had not too long ago. And Robbie, you want to go over the story about that?
Well, I'll make the long story short. I went to go get this for Joe because, I was like, Joe's got a lot of this. He reviewed all this with me. And I'm like, okay, I'll purchase one because it's easier to wrap one big box rather than 12 individual ones. My motor skills are terrible. I cannot wrap to save my own life. Anyway, so I went to buy one for Joe, and I see two big boxes from the company. And I said, well, this can't be good. So I'm like, did they charge me twice? And it turns out they didn't. So I managed to get two for the price of one. So what other than a better person to have this than a person who does not have any 2016 Diecast and Racing 89?
That's me, and that's why there weren't many Diecast reviews this year, because I have no 2016 IndyCar, NASCAR, sports car, you name it, I didn't have it from 2016. But now I have 12, thanks to my good friend Robbie Noonan. We're going to go over all of those cars right here, right now, in Joe's basement with the beautiful Sunoco Welcome Ultra Race Fans background. Anything else you want to add, Joe, before we get into the cars?
I think before we start the cars, we may as well go over this box here a little bit. It's pretty much a larger version of the kind of boxes you would expect out of a normal NASCAR diecast. It's made out of the same cardboard and plastic, and it's a little different when you open it up, though, because it's got this nice little tab right here. Right here, there's a little tab on the inside that you have to kind of pull out. You see, there's the tab. And then once you pull that out, this whole side of the box comes out like so. And out can slide your Darlington Throwbacks. I'm trying to do the camera work and my hands, but that's okay. So just in general, you got to watch out for that. You don't want to rip that if you want to keep this box. I don't know. Some people like to keep the boxes, some people don't. That's okay. And, but yeah, that's the box in itself. It's not a very colorful box, but it's still holding the cars, and it looks pretty cool. Looks kind of like a display case.
Indeed it does. It comes with its very own display case. Now, very efficient by Lionel. I can't really toot their horn too much, but this is one thing that I'm really excited about, is that they did make this multi-car pack of all of our favorites from Darlington. Now, without further ado, should we get into our first car here?
Let's begin. I will hold, and you will talk.
Right here, we have the number 10 Nature's Bakery Danica Patrick Chevrolet. Joe, what was the throwback to this too?
So this is just kind of a Nature's Bakery throwback with the color scheme. It's not a throwback to a car, but it's kind of a corporate retro scheme here. I like the color combination. It reminds me of Tufts University, which is brown and aqua. I don't know, maybe some people understand that reference. I'm a fan of retros, of company sponsorships. I appreciate that they were taking part in the retro theme. Not my favorite car in the box because it's not, a real throwback, real true throwback, but I still like it a lot, and I think it's probably still the best scheme that Danica ran all year.
Definitely the best scheme I've seen. Easily.
All right.
Rating. Let's get a
Oh yeah, we should do that.
Rating out of that. Hey, there's my fingers.
Hey.
Joe, what's your rating on the car?
On that car, I'm going to say a 7.5.
Robbie, how about you?
I give it a 6.
I'm not far from there, but I'm going to give it a solid 8. You know what? I'll up it by a half from Joe there.
There you go.
So that is Danica Patrick's car. Up next, we have the one and only Denny Hamlin Sports Clip Throwback. If you can't tell what this is a throwback to, you're probably not a NASCAR fan, but Joe's going to refresh your memory for you.
Well, they were specific to Darrell Waltrip with this one, right?
Yes.
Because of that number 11 on the side. It does kind of look like a Wood Brothers throwback, too, which, you know, when you get that kind of thing where you've got a throwback to something specific, but if you kind of ignore the fact that there's blue on it, it looks kind of like a Wood Brothers throwback, too. But I think, you know, by just glancing at it, you might be a little enticed to think otherwise, but it is a Darrell Waltrip throwback. I think it's a really nice car. And, you know, I love when we don't have the same FedEx scheme every weekend, even in different colors, you know, and to throw back to something like this, I mean, I really love this old school font on this car. It looks so old school. I have to adjust the camera here real quick, sorry about that. But yeah, it looks really nice. So yeah, I would say that it's a very nice one. What would you guys rate this car?
Robbie, you're up first.
Personally, I would give it an 8.5 out of 10. You know, it's a nice-looking Darrell Waltrip throwback. I like it. You know, it's easily one of the top up there.
What about you, Matt? What would you say about this car?
Oh, this is easily one of my favorite throwbacks. I'm giving that a 9. It's just beautiful. It's so nice. I love it.
I would give it a solid, I would say a solid 8 out of 10, because it is a really nice looking car. It's, yeah, not my favorite in the box, but I really do still like it a lot. So I'm going to give it an 8. So it's a pretty good car right there.
Very nice, very nice. Coming up next, our third car is the Kevin Harvick blue, white, and I believe that is a little gray right there. It is Busch Beer car. Joe, what's this a throwback to?
So this car is a nice throwback to one of them I don't give a shit what you say drivers, Cale Yarborough. Yeah, Robbie got a little caught off guard by the swearing there, but yeah, this is a Cale Yarborough throwback that Kevin Harvick drove. I like this car a lot, and you know, I really appreciate Cale Yarborough's attitude, even though it might not have been the most appreciated thing by other people that were around him. You know, just not caring what other people said, doing what you got to do to be successful, doing what you want to do to have fun. That kind of mentality, you know, you got to be careful with that. But I appreciate it. And Cale Yarborough was a great driver, and he had a really good-looking car, and I like this car a lot.
Yeah, very successful driver. I say that the driver now even matches. I think Cale Yarborough and Kevin Harvick are very similar with some of the things that Harvick says. He's not far from Cale Yarborough, and I really think that it's great that he did a throwback this year to his car. Awesome car. I'm going to give the car a great... I'm going to give it an 8. I'm feeling a little generous with an 8 here. But Joe, your opinion?
Well, I agree a lot, and I think that's a really great aspect of the throwbacks when you have a driver who's similar to another driver doing a throwback to them. But as for the car, I like this car a lot. Excuse me, more than an 8 out of 10. I would give this car a solid 10 out of 10. I really think this color combination is just stellar, and I really do love this car.
Robbie?
I do so myself. In fact, I'm just promoting this video right now on my Instagram channel. That's why I took the selfie. I was like sitting out here like going, perfect picture of all you guys reviewing that car. That car gets a solid 9.5 out of 10. We're promoting this video, by the way. I'm going to promote the heck out of this one.
Heck yeah, right on.
Actually, a video on my channel. I know you guys aren't used to it. Up next, we have the Dale Earnhardt, number 88, Nationwide Insurance Throwback. Beautiful silver, black, and slightly orange on that car. Joe, give us the information on that.
So this is the Gray Ghost. Buddy Baker drove this car. When did he drive this car? 79 is the version of this car diecast that I have. I do have like the NASCAR Classics version of this car. But this car, it's a pretty plain scheme. You know, I think out of the 4 that we've done so far, this one's the most basic, but it is really freaking cool. And I appreciate a lot that when you have a throwback and the company that is sponsoring the car, especially like Nationwide, like they normally have a blue scheme, but they went throwback with their colors. They matched the car. I appreciate that effort a lot by Nationwide allowing that and by the team doing that. I think it's a really nice aspect of this car. If I were to rate this car, I'll go first with this one. I would give this probably a 9 out of 10 because the Gray Ghost is such a popular part of NASCAR's history, and it's, you know, we've seen throwbacks to the Gray Ghost in the past, but it is a very popular throwback scheme, and it's got a lot of a big part of the history of NASCAR in it, and I would give it a 9 out of 10 for that.
Robin,
Another popular throwback is the STP and the Wood Brothers, so this is all up there. This easily gets a 9 out of 10 for me.
Same here. 9 out of 10. Beautiful car. Love the Gray Ghost. If you don't like the Gray Ghost, if you don't like the Gray Ghost, you really need to reevaluate what paint schemes. I'm just kidding. You can like what you like, but this is just a great car, and I'm really glad that Lionel hit this car spot on, and so did Hendrick with the painting.
There you go. Alrighty, so here we go with the next Darlington throwback. This is a Mark Martin throwback by Trevor Bayne and the Roush Fenway Racing crew. I would say in the entire box, this would probably be my second favorite by just a hair. It would be my second instead of my first. I love this car. I think it looks super nice. I did like Bayne's car last year a little more because, you know, I didn't grow up with this car out on track for Mark Martin. I grew up, you know, in the early 2000s was when I was born in 99, so I was pretty young to remember Mark Martin back in those days with the blotchy Valvoline car, but this Valvoline car is big in his history as well. I really like this car.
Yeah, this is great because it's something that wasn't too long ago, and I think that's what makes it so great. People, you know, that grew up watching the sport, I mean, other than us, basically, like Robbie's generation, you know, he saw this car. This was a big car in his childhood. He probably has the original diecast from the year. I wouldn't be surprised. So it's just cool to see it on.
Yeah, I remember the other Valvoline car before it became the Viagra Pfizer car. That was a big thing of my childhood. Big thing.
Yeah, Roush, I mean, they've been around for a while. Mark Martin, great driver. Now Trevor Bayne piloting the 6 car. Really cool to see him carrying on the Roush tradition here in this nice Advocare styled Valvoline car. Now, ratings, I will give this a 9 out of 10 again. It's just, I can't really give... There's certain cars in this pack that I can give a 10, and they're the ones that will get the 10. But I'm sorry, this one's going to get a 9 out of 10. I feel bad, but...
I'm going to say I'm giving this one a 10 out of 10. I would almost give it like a 10.2 out of 10 just because it's just that much better than perfect for me. Like I said, not my number one in the box. We're getting there for that one, but yeah, I like this car a lot.
9.5 out of 10. There's one car that tops them all, and I know which one it is. I hope it comes up next.
I don't think we got it up next, but nonetheless, Matt Faust, what do we got here?
Well, the next car we have is another Roush Fenway car. It is the Ricky Stenhouse Fastenal blotchy white, a little bit like an orangish red almost.
Is that what we call that? Yeah, that would be like an orange right there. It's like an old school orange.
Yeah, it looked kind of red from this angle. That was my bad there. Looks right on the camera a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Put it up on the light.
You got to kind of see it. Yeah, the camera's making it look red, but it is orange. This is a throwback to Darrell Waltrip, again, with a number 17 car. You know, you've got sometimes with cars you got numbers that really go well with a certain driver, like the 43, the 3, the 24, you know. The 17 is a big part of Darrell Waltrip's career, and I think it's really good to do a throwback to Darrell Waltrip with a car number 17 like that.
I agree. Same number. Roush Fenway really did hit a home run this year, I think, on the throwback. Same number. Paint scheme was just on the spot, or on point. How about that? And it was just beautiful.
So, for a rating for this car, I'll start us off with, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. I think it's a pretty good scheme. You know, I liked, now, last year's Stenhouse theme car was just, oh my god. That car was so good looking. The David Pearson throwback. But this car is very nice as well.
Tell them the surprise you got this year, Joe, with that car.
Well, I was fortunate enough to get my hands on the 124 of Stenhouse's car from last year at Darlington, thanks to this guy right here.
Yeah, and I like this one too. Stenhouse said it was one of his favorite schemes ever, but it does not take the cake from me. It gets an 8.5 out of 10.
I gotta give it a 7 out of 10. There's just like I said, there's so many good cars. I'm giving this a 7 out of 10 because I really think there's so many cars that just top it. But still a great car nonetheless. Roush Fenway did a really, really good job with their throwbacks this year, and I gotta give them credit for that.
All right, guys, so we are halfway through the box, but there's something I think that we ought to mention before we continue. When we do these ratings, right, these aren't ratings compared to every car that Lionel makes in the year, right? These are comparing to throwbacks because you can't give a throwback anything less than a 10 out of 10, right, Robbie?
No, that's what we did in our reviews. We couldn't give many less than a 10.
Right. So when we have these cars and we're saying it's a 7 out of 10, that's comparative to other throwbacks, not to every car.
Yes.
So, Matt, it's time to bring on the second half.
So, starting off the second half, we have my favorite driver and favorite number. We have the number 24 Smoky Unique Napa car. Napa Know-How.
Napa Know-How. This is not a Smoky Unique throwback.
I messed it up because I was thinking of the next car.
I
was thinking of the next car, and I'm really sorry.
That's okay, but it does look a lot like that car. It is a corporate throwback. It's a throwback to an old Napa logo. It is not a specific throwback to a car, and I think we could give Matt some credit because these cars do look a lot alike.
I thought I was mixing up the cars. I'm sorry.
We are getting to that car in the next, that's the next car in line, but for Chase Elliott, it is a corporate throwback. I think the black and yellow look pretty good. Matt over here is a big Pittsburgh fan for
black and yellow.
Black and yellow. I think any Pittsburgh fan ought to appreciate a black and yellow car. A Buzzin' Hornet, the old Jordan cars. That was a cigarette company, but black and yellow are a really good color combination. It's tough, it's fast, it's sharp, and this specific yellow is kind of like an old school darkened mustard yellow kind of color. I would give this car, what would I give this car? I'd give this car like an 8.5 out of 10 for say, because it is a really good color combination. It's pretty simple, and that fits the bill with the throwback, and I like it a lot.
I mean, I'd give the car a 10 out of 10, but that there's a little bit of bias given that extra 0.5. I'm giving this car a 9.5. I think it's really nice, but comparing it to the other throwbacks, it's just there's some tough competition in these throwbacks in this pack, so I'm going to give this a 9.5 out of 10.
There's a little more competition with this one. This one's very nice, but it gets a 9.
All right.
Next car. This time it is the Smoky Unit car. It says it right there. You might...
my camera doesn't focus very well on
That's okay.
things.
It says... crap, I forgot. Smokies.
Best damn garage in town on the recorder panels. Now, this is my favorite car. This is my sole favorite car in this 12-pack. This car is so damn good looking. I am such a huge fan of Smokey as a personal thing because Smokey was that guy who always looked for a loophole in a rule. They told him your fuel tank can only hold 10 gallons of fuel. That's probably not the right number. But they told him you can't have a bigger fuel tank than that. And he thought about, okay, how can I fit more fuel in this car? Well, I can make all of the pipes bigger from where you put the fuel in the car to where the fuel tank is so that it holds more in those pipes. Smokey was trying to make loopholes to be more successful. I think that's kind of cool. You got to be careful with that kind of stuff because you're going to get caught with it and,
Yeah, you can't pull it off anymore.
Yeah, but Smokey was an ingenuitive guy, and he engineered himself a lot of success, and I appreciate that immensely. What would you say about this car, Robbie?
Smokey was one of those guys where, if you made a rule, he would bend it and make a loophole around it. When you saw that black and gold car, you know who designed it. You know who was in that garage building it. And he knew how to build cars. This guy probably will never get in the Hall of Fame, which is a darn shame because he deserves to be in it. He made some of the most funky looking design cars. But this throwback gets a 9.8 out of 10 from me.
I would have to say this car, for me, 11 out of 10. This is, like I said, my favorite car in the box, and it's fitting that it would be better than perfect, because it is.
I've got to give this a 10 out of 10. It's not my favorite, but man, it is so close. I love it so much. It is just such a great car. The black and gold has never looked better on a NASCAR than obviously when Smokey Yunick had it. And Casey Mears rocked it on the lady herself.
Alrighty, guys, so down to our next car. Time to throw back to something that not a lot of people may be aware of. Paul Menard's throwback here was a throwback to Al Unser Jr.'s car that he ran in the Daytona 500. What year was that, 92?
93. Actually,
93.
this car was practicing at Daytona, but it wrecked, and he needed to run a backup, which was a totally different scheme.
So, little Al Unser Jr., was very successful with his open-wheel career in kart, and he ran in the IRL for a little bit, but he retired out of there. But he won the Indy 500 twice, and he arguably could have won it for a third, before he won any. He could have won it 3 times, but 89, an interesting year at the Indy 500. We're not going to get too far into that, because we got a beautiful little diecast to review for you here. Now, personally, I love this car because it's a throwback to something not a lot of people would recognize at first glance. And, little Al being a part of kart, I'm a huge fan of open wheel racing in IndyCar, and I like to see this kind of overlap between them. Last year's car that he drove, I liked that a lot too, because that was a throwback to a car from the Indy 500. But this car, I would put it up there in favoritism. I would give it a 10 out of 10. It's a very, very, very nice looking car. Paul Menard's been fortunate to have 2 really good schemes for Darlington in these 2 years with these throwbacks, and yeah, I like this car a lot.
This is my favorite. And Kyle Larson's throwback is in tribute to Eddie Cheever, the 1989 Target car. So I would love to get that. Yeah, thanks, Matt.
Yeah, Cheever. No, but that was the beginning of Target in IndyCar with that car, right?
I will get that 124 signed by Eddie Cheever at the back windshield.
So, rating on this car?
10.
There you go. You rated it. Did you rate it?
I did not rate it.
There you go. You gotta get in here.
An 8 out of 10. I really like the scheme, but like I said, so much competition. It's a harsh atmosphere in these rating these throwbacks. It's crazy.
That is true. So, time for the third to last car, fittingly number 3.
This is an Austin Dillon throwback, an American ethanol E15 fuel throwback. I really like the way that they did the lines here with the 3, how they line up. Really great, really American car that they ran on Labor Day weekend. And Joe, give us a little background on the car.
So Richard Childress had this car. He drove it himself, right? And that was the very beginning of when Childress started becoming a part of NASCAR. He didn't, have as much money, and he didn't have he didn't have relatives and pay drivers driving for him, but I think it's a really good throwback because Childress has been a big part of NASCAR since he started being a part of it, and this is where he got his start. I like this car a lot. It's really simple and yet really cool.
Yes, I can agree with the simple and cool. The way the white is put in and implemented on it is beautiful. I really, like I said, with the 3 and the way the lines meet up with it right here on this side, I really do like it. The way that the 3 is designed, it's just beautiful. It's a great scheme. I really like it. Not my favorite, though. We're not there yet.
So what would you give it as a rating, Robbie?
It's very simple. Simple works on this car, but there's a lot more competition to this one. This one gets an 8 out of 10 from me.
I'm going to go ahead and give it an 8.5. I do really like it, and I don't know why, but I really like all this white, I don't know why, but it's just, it screams to me that it's a good-looking car. I'm going to give it an 8.5.
As I was reviewing the car, I was starting to come up with things that are good about it, and then I was like, wow, this is really nice, so I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. I didn't realize how much I like this car. It's beautiful. Next up, I think we have Robbie's favorite here. It is the Carl Edwards Eris car here, the orange and the white. Give us a little background on this car. This is pretty simple.
Well, this is a pretty easy one for me because this car is a throwback to Tony Stewart's car when he first came into NASCAR. Tony Stewart came into NASCAR at about the time I started. I was born and then, grew up with NASCAR. So I remember this car out on track, and I know Robbie does too, and Matt's probably seen it a couple times himself. I really appreciate Eris taking part in this car, especially with their hood. They did the old Home Depot font on the front there. And, the car it's pretty simple, but it's a throwback to something a little more modern, so the younger crowd is going to be able to recognize this car a little easier. And I think that's a really good aspect of this throwback race, is that you have cars from different generations, so that all the different generations of NASCAR fans have something that they kind of can remember from their childhood watching, and, some of the younger crowd can recognize a car.
My dad was a big Tony Stewart fan. When he came along in the NASCAR ranks, I was Rusty Wallace. He was Tony Stewart. Unfortunately, he didn't have that many members of my dad racing because he passed in 2005 when Tony won his second championship. But, he was a big Tony Stewart fan, and this brings back so many memories of me and my dad watching racing. This is sentimental to me, this diecast.
Yeah, this is a great car. Not my favorite throwback, but I mean it's in close second, I will say. It's a beautiful car. If I had to give it a rating, it'd be a 9.5 out of 10. I don't know what it is, but the one that is my favorite, which is the last car, there's something about it that's just awesome.
I would have to give this car, I would say I'd give this a 9 out of 10, just a 9, flat 9, because it's a very nice car, and I recognize it from when I was younger and started getting into NASCAR, and, overall it still looks really good. Even, sometimes you can try to get a scheme on a car and it doesn't look as good as the original or something, but it does look really good on this car.
I love it. It gets a 9.5 out of 10 from me.
Up next, my favorite and last, but definitely not least, it is the Regan Smith. What is the sponsor, actually? I don't even know it.
That's one of the things about having one of these smaller teams is
Road Rippers.
When your sponsors change, sometimes that happens. You're like, what sponsor's on this car? But yeah, Road Rippers, Nico on this car. What would I say about this car? Cool Wiki was a big part of NASCAR. He had a short-lived career because he died in a unfortunate accident, and but he was a very, very big part of NASCAR when he was in NASCAR. Mm-hmm. A lot of people remember him because he was very different. He had a way about him that was a lot different, and his Polish victory laps, right, Robbie?
That he said burnouts were juvenile, so he did the burnouts as a different way to celebrate a win.
So this car, the Cool Wiki Tribute, it's really cool that they incorporated the original font from Cool Wiki into this car too. That's something that you don't always see with a throwback, but they actually did incorporate that font. I like it a lot. I always liked how it looked like you kind of took the white car and dipped it into a thing of orange paint and then let it dry like that. I like it a lot. I would give this car a 9 out of 10, but a generous 9 out of 10.
100 out of 10. Favorite car, beautiful. Alan Kulwicki, he was a great racer. He fought for everything that he did. He worked for everything that he did. Nothing was ever given to him. He stayed up late nights, early mornings, trying to get his car to be the best and won a championship in the end. So I think it's great that they did a throwback to him. The paint scheme, like you said, it's just beautiful.
I'm so glad I got into the throwback then. Anyway,
yes.
I like it. It's a 9 out of 10 for me.
There you go. So, in general, Robbie, Matt, myself, we've got 12 beautiful cars on hand right here. What would you say about the general multi-car pack? What are we looking for? We think this is a good idea for someone to buy these throwbacks?
It's a good thing, for somebody who doesn't have any. Someone who doesn't have any throwbacks, who is like a perfect late holiday gift idea, for somebody who is a classic NASCAR fan, who doesn't have any of these diecasts, who may have the originals, but he may not have these beautiful throwbacks. Definitely would give somebody to these who doesn't have any of these cars.
I would agree. I definitely think this is a investment that would be worthwhile for someone who doesn't have these throwbacks. I like this a lot. I really appreciate Robbie picking this up for me for Christmas. Thank you, Robbie.
Oh, you're welcome.
And I think that if you were thinking about it, I would say it's worth your time. There are a lot of really good throwbacks in this box.
What would you say, Mr. Matthew?
I think this is a great set of cars right here. Just look at these beautiful things. I mean, you can't... Ooh, almost knocked over that box. Nobody saw that. Just a beautiful set. Great 12 cars that Lionel put out. They really did do a fine job of producing these cars. And I'm really glad they took the time to make most of them. Obviously, this is not all of them, as many of you know, which is a good thing. So just really good. I love that they do this every year. I'm glad that Lionel makes space for this and produces all of them. Well, not all of them, but you know what I mean. So thank you guys for tuning into this video. Thank you, Joe and Robbie, for joining me.
Oh, anytime, man. You're more than welcome.
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for Joe for providing this wonderful pool table and basement.
This was my grandfather's table. So it's kind of fitting we're doing throwbacks because my grandfather was not, back then racing wasn't as popular on television and stuff. My dad was a fan. My grandfather, he wasn't much of a sports guy actually, which, kind of, whatever. But, old school cars, old school pool table right here with a lot of sentimental value to the NASCAR fan base, and for me myself, and for all of you who watch the 3 Laps for Dale Earnhardt every year. A Lamau, that's a reference to something I do.
Make sure to check out all these goobers in the description below. Make sure to follow our adventures that Joe uploads when we go do fun things, and I do in May. And I'm really going to knock over this box, so I'm going to end the video. And make sure, people, to put on deodorant. It makes you smell good.